So nervous.
Welcome, everybody, to the Three Gun Show. I'm your host, Dave Hartman, and this is a live edition of Breaking Open, Part 2, with our buddies, Adam Maxwell. Adam, how you doing?
I'm good, Dave. It's been too long.
I know, man. It's good to see you. And also with us tonight, Scott Greene. Scott, you are looking hot right now.
I'm just trying to be like you. I'm just trying to look as good as you two.
I'm pumped to have you guys back, and I am going to do a little bit of vamping while I type here because we figured out a fun game that we could play before we started here, and we're going to guess the MSRP of this item right here. These are excess sites. They're new F8 night sites, and if I see either of you two typing on your computer, you're disqualified. But the trick is guess the MSRP of this product here, and you get to go first. And for those of you playing at home, you can put your answer in the comments if you like. And any questions you have, go ahead and throw them in there, and we will get to them shortly. So, Scott Greene, what do you think the MSRP is on these excess F8 night sights that I just got from my Glock 26?
Joke's on both of you because I used to sell those.
Oh, no!
What did you say, Scott?
$85.
$85. So you may have used to sell these, Adam, but these are brand new. And I'm thinking these might be new enough that maybe they missed your tenure at Arms and Arms. So we'll check here. I also
didn't sell very many of them. So,
yeah, you're a bad night sight seller, apparently. All right. So, Scott, you say 89.95.
85.
AMAX. Oh, 85.
85.
What is it? 85. 85 even?
84.99. Sure.
84.99. Okay. And we're doing this Price is Right style. So, Adam, what is your guess?
Are they tritium?
It doesn't. Oh, yes. Tritium powered front and rear sight. Yes.
And they're big dots?
They are the big dots. The rear sight, you can kind of see it there. It has like one little dot under it. Big wide notch. And then the front sight has the phospholuminescent paint with the tritium in there. Now, Scott, I just gave AMAX way more information than I gave you. Do you want to change your answer?
I still have no idea, so I'm going to stay with it. Yeah.
Okay, 84.99.
Yeah.
AMAX, what is your guess?
So Price is Right rules is you can't go over.
Correct.
Don't you $1 me? Don't you do it?
I'm going to go 115.
115. All right. So Kevin Mead with he has a comment here. He says $79.
I'm nervous.
Kevin, these are made of steel, brother.
American steel.
So MSRP of the excess sites, F8 night sites. By the way, this is not sponsored. I have to say that on YouTube. $184.99.
Wow.
Scott, you were so close, man. If you added a C note, you would have had it, buddy.
Yeah, Benjamin Short. Yeah.
All right. So that means Adam's going first on our first question.
Oh, shoot.
All right, Adam. Breaking open, baby. So you and I talked a lot last year, or I guess early this year, about like division jumping and things like that.
Yep.
And you turned into a big division jumper yourself. You went from limited to open. You went
limited to tac ops to limited to open.
There we go. Close enough. But now you're rocking open. You've got the distant arm shotgun. You've got a slide ride or die pistol. Still rocking your PWS rifle. How's it been going, dude?
It's been going good. I initially did it to use more optics and get more experience on them that way, and definitely accomplished that. But I have to say it turned out different than I thought it would. I suppose we're going to spend the next couple hours trying to lay our finger on exactly how that happened. But,
yeah.
The transition was not as hard. The learning the guns did not take as long as I thought it would, and the the game itself is different, but I like it. It's its own thing. But it's cool, and I dig it. And while I've been gone, like, I don't know, Tech Ops got kind of scary, so I might stay over here for a while.
Yeah, as if Open wasn't scary with Scott and Whitesides and Jerry Michalek and Josh Freilich swimming around in there.
Well, guys are putting freaking quad load caddies on their handguards now. Like, I don't even know what's going on over there anymore. My skills are irrelevant.
Yeah. I honestly don't even know what to say about that. That's just like something else. That's like when your cousin does something at like a family reunion or a wedding, and you just kind of like, all right, I'm just gonna look over here now. I don't even know what to say about that. We'll let someone else figure that one out, and then I'll make an opinion. So Scott, the first runner up in our guess the price of the sites challenge here. Scott, how's Open been going for you, buddy?
Open's been a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely a whole different game, but it's a lot more fun in some ways, and it's challenging some different aspects. But I like having no limitations and just getting to run the stage as fast as possible instead of having to plan around gears and loads. It's just kind of like, just a straight drag race now. There's no more planning around it. It's kind of fun that way. But yeah, I'm loving it.
I think it's something that fits your strengths. I've been watching your match finishes and your social posts and things like that, and from like your tone and everything, and then chatting with you offline, it seems like you're really enjoying Open. Do you agree on that one?
Oh, for sure. It's a ton of fun. I just really like going fast and being
go fast.
Being close to Pete's matches in Vegas and shooting Open, they kind of go hand in hand. So it's just pedal to the metal and let it fly. It's fun.
Good. Good, man. Well, okay. So one more time, I'm going to add for people that are watching this real time. We will answer any questions you throw in the chat here. So if you got anything you want to ask Scott, Max, or myself, we will absolutely answer them. But guys, so we did Breaking Open Part 1. This is Part 2. And this is kind of a end of the season sort of thing. Do either of you have any major matches that you're looking forward to? Oh, I'm seeing Scott nod your head. What do you got going, buddy?
Well, originally my plan was to shoot Surefire and then hang it up and get a little rest. But I got told that I'm going with Johnny Lim from Limcat down to the Philippines at the end of November to shoot a couple of PCC matches and another IB6 shotgun match down there.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
What's that like to get told you're going to a match?
I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it at all. It'll be exciting. I love the IB6 shotgun game. Get to play that again on another international level. And then I didn't get to go to Optic Nationals for PCC, so it'll be nice to shoot the PCC down there as well.
Right. So that's interesting. I did not realize that IPSC already had a PCC division. Is this something that's widespread and big, or is this like America and Philippines, or what?
So the Philippines are the handgun / PCC match are going to be run with USPSA rules. They have a USPSA affiliation.
Oh yeah, this was the controversy a couple years ago, right? That Mike Foley basically bit his thumb at IPSC over this little thing.
I'm not exactly sure what it is, but all I know is the rules down there for the pistol matches will be USPSA, but the shotgun match is going to be an IPSC match.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So is this like their like nationals kind of thing, or?
Basically, yeah. It's Philippine practical shooter something or other. Their national championship. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting, man.
Yeah, there's a 3-gun event going on at the same time, at the same range. But that's just too much gear for me to bring over there. I can't get all that on a plane and all the luggage and all the weight for that long of a travel.
Yeah, no kidding. So now, do you have like assistance in getting your gear down there, or do you have to carry this all yourself?
I'll bring it myself. Yeah.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is Johnny Lim, obviously Limcat Customs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was just wondering, like, is there some sort of, I don't
Caddies.
know. Yeah, I don't want to say caddies, but is there some sort of different method that a manufacturer would use other than just telling you to cart your stuff down there?
Well, I'll be going with him, and he's from the Philippines, so he's essentially going home. We'll be staying with his sister, for example,
Oh, cool.
and I just get to tag along and go see his hometown and his family down there and shoot while I'm there. So
That's exciting.
yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah. So international travel for shooting matches twice in 1 year.
Yeah, didn't expect that, but I'm not complaining about it.
Yeah, that'll be good, man. So okay, so your season is nearly done, then you got a couple little adders on at the end here.
Yeah.
So when we first did Breaking Open, you guys were like fresh little bunnies out in the world looking for a carrot, and you realize there's some coyotes out there, some wolves who
There
want to
sure
eat the
are.
bunnies. So I was actually talking to Mike Whitesides last night, who's shot open for years, right? Dissident Arms, and we were talking about divisions, and we're trying to our discussion was surrounding like how to get people to care about divisions, and he had a comment that was just like a cast off comment, but I thought it was really interesting. It was nobody gave a shit about open until the sharks started swimming in open, and then more sharks came to open. It's kind of interesting how like talent draws talent, right? So now you're in a very deep talent pool in open division, and it's getting deeper by the day. More and more people are getting those shotguns sent to them. So
Well, I think
what do you
yeah, the shots were definitely fired across the bow of a few people. So the going got tough and the tough got going. So yeah, the talent pool really heated up. And I mean, the sport kind of ebbs and flows in different directions. You know, you see, a couple of years ago it was, shotgun heavy stages was the thing, right? When everybody learned how to quad load, so we did 50 round shotgun stages, and then PCC came online, so that was a cool thing. I feel like open this year was kind of a Division two, or it was a theme of this year, I think, and I would attribute that in no small part to Scott and Josh's back and forth at various matches in preparation for the French, or it's France, right?
Yeah.
The IPSC World Shoot, and then the IPSC World Shoot itself, because we don't have many races that people can follow in our sport, from the sidelines, and that was one you could really watch, and it was really entertaining. It was really close, so I think there's a lot of attention that got paid to open this year, in addition to some people just organically finding it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And then you have like the demise of the Three Gun Nation Pro Series as we've traditionally seen it, which has completely been TAC Ops. So it almost gave everyone like a permission slip to go play around in whatever division they wanted to. I've noticed something myself. Like I've found like maybe I don't know if I would call it boredom, but just like a desire to play with new things. Like the IWI Galil that Jeremy sent me. Yeah, I was, making that for the Red October match, but I found myself shooting it in a lot of club matches, and I ended up shooting in the running gun as well. And it's just fun because it's new, it's unique, it's something interesting to figure out. It's a new puzzle to solve for me, instead of like, oh yeah, my 3-gun rifle runs. All I got to do is hold it where it's supposed to be held, So it's fun to do new things. Now, Scott, you've been in the middle of the heated back and forth battle between you and Josh. What do you think about the publicity that's caused in our circle of competitive shooting?
It's fun, it's I like competition. I like being competitive. I like having someone to race against. And I'm happy it's drawing more guys to open. The more the merrier. And there's more shooting than just shooting TAC Ops. So there's different divisions, and finding your skill set where you're competitive and following through on that, it makes the game a lot more fun rather than going out there and trying to be, 80% a Horner or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's fun. Yeah.
What if Horner sees how much fun you're having and he picks up an open shotgun as well?
I'm still training.
Don't
he can
talk
come
like
try. No, bring him. I don't care. I'll play with anybody.
Sig doesn't make open gear.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
They don't make shotguns either. So.
Oh, you shoot the X5 in open.
Yeah, you can shoot the X5 in open. You can shoot the whatever the hell the name of their rifle is in open.
Yeah. We just won't give him a
yourself,
shotgun. We won't give him a shotgun, though. That's the only rule.
All right.
He doesn't need it.
It's true.
Johnny Lim won't get you a shotgun, apparently. So Scott's got him cornered.
No, it's fun. Just like hanging out with, or not hang out with, but or both. Shooting against top guys and guys who are your skill level, and just having a back and forth it's fun, and it pushes you to train harder, pushes them to train harder, and we all grow from that.
Mm-hmm. So, how was your training change this year, Scott? Going from TAC ops to open.
First thing I did was what I thought would be the biggest obstacle would be the pistol. I'd never shot an open gun really before. A dot on it. Whenever I played with them, I would lose the dot all the time, right? So I was freaking out about it.
Yeah, same here. Like every time I pull up, I'm doing the weird thing where you're twisting your wrist around, trying to figure out where the heck that dot is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I shot a lot of USPSA matches in open division for the first few months to get the hang of it. I shot a lot of local matches, and I even would drive every weekend at least an hour to 3 hours, maybe twice a weekend to shoot whatever match I could find. And I did that real heavy for the first 3 months, so I got the hang of it. And then it turned into IPSC shotgun training, which was great for the reloads, and it helped me nail that down real quick and early. But a lot of shotgun, I did a lot of research on the shotgun and the chokes and this and that, and the training for that helped push my 3-gun game up to a different level because of the IPSC training. And then the rifle's just a rifle. I mean, you put another dot on it, makes it easier. Put a bipod on it, and it's not even fair anymore. Bipods are cheating. It's fantastic.
Yeah, bipods, D60s, and extra little dot on the side. Like, heck, why not?
Yeah, the bipod makes long range a non-issue. Yeah.
And so why is that? I mean, they obviously
if
you're more stable, but
yeah, if you know you're dope on your gun and you know how to hold for a little bit of wind here and there, you get that stable position, and it's not even a challenge anymore. You can give an 8-year-old daughter a rifle for the very first time, that rifle, and say, hold it here, pull the trigger, and they'll hit it pretty much every time. It's
yeah, it pretty much
a game changer.
Pretty much negates any kind of awkward long range rifle shooting position a match director can put you in. I mean, if you can't use your bipod, you can use a bag. So like pretty much there's not a whole lot that they can throw at you that can really screw you up on long range stuff.
I hear a lot of guys that are in open complaining about how like there's nowhere to go prone, and like, well, if I can't use my bipod, then why am I even in open? Like if you have like a VTAC wall or something like that. Did you guys find that as well?
A little bit. Well, I didn't really care with the TAC background, so I just kind of shot it how I would a TAC gun. Like at Surefire, for example, I only shot one position prone the whole match. Out of 2 or 3 stages with long range, can't remember. Couple positions from each one, but one position was the bipod, and the rest was just using the TAC experience to do that.
But do you feel like TAC experience helped you in your transition, Scott, or is it just a whole new thing?
It gave me a lot of confidence knowing I can do it this way. Why shouldn't I be able to do it with all these extra added tools?
All these other little cheater things.
Yeah. If you can do it with that, you can do it with this and all these extra things you have now. It's a lot easier. Now,
you mentioned that shooting IPSC shotgun and training for the shotgun championship helped your 3-gun game. What do you mean by that?
So the actual knowledge of spreads and weapon manipulations and just the whole comfort level is different over there. So the skill set's a little different, but they have tighter targets with no shoots, so you have to hold off here. No different choke patterns here. Whereas 3-gun, we normally put in up to an IC, maybe looser, and you're probably pretty good from there. Learning, managing recoil that way, different with all the no shoots and timing and trigger press and whatnot. It's just a finer game, and it helped. When I shot 3-gun, I could loosen it up a whole lot more and just speed it up a bit.
I got you. So
yeah, you spend a whole weekend training to shoot, a head box alpha, and then you get a full torso like thrown in your face at a match. It's going to be pretty easy.
right. Okay. I got you. So it's just a more difficult target,
Mm-hmm.
bigger emphasis on accuracy.
Yeah, basically.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So Max, the transition for you, man, what did you find was the hardest to transition to amongst the 3 guns?
Ooh, of the 3 guns, I would probably say the shotgun. The shotgun reloads were, I don't want to say harder, but they were, you had to figure it out. You had to figure out the mojo of how to get them to snap together. And then the patterns on the Vepr are way different than the Benelli. So I had to really go back to school on all the patterns, and I'm still learning. I'll still call a shot that was good with my Benelli, and now it's like, it's left standing there at the end of the match.
Do you think that's partly because of the barrel length? Because you're shooting that short barrel non-NFA shotgun that Dissonant makes, right?
Yeah, I would say, like, I wouldn't say it's a problem. I would just say it's different.
No. I didn't say problem. I said, do you think that's attributed to?
Oh yeah, I would, because the patterns are driven by how fast the wad falls away,
Right.
and it's different. In the world of tack shotguns, we're talking the difference between 26, 24, 21 inches. I went from 24 inches to 14 inches.
Right.
So cut off 10 inches of barrel, so it's a completely different map.
Yeah.
And then I felt, all right, I kind of, in my initial studies of it, I didn't have the same pattern density that I was used to. Kind of had a core in the middle that was pretty consistent at most yardages, and then I kind of had this halo around the outside, right? So I didn't have the same pattern density that I was used to with different chokes at different distances. So that was something I'm still playing with.
I gotcha. Well, we've got a question from a listener here. Tim asks, how do you wear your Vepr magazine, pouches or belt clips? So Adam, what did you find was the best solution for you?
Oh, that is a great question. I currently using all clips. Prefer to load appendix if I know it's coming. I try to have the appendix mag. I don't have to run around a lot. But I am going to get some pouches after I've had a few mags fall off and things like that. And sometimes when you're loading out for a longer stage, so that mag's got to hang out a little bit longer. I'm definitely going to be getting some of the pouches. Both I don't know. I'm going to try at least one strong hand on that.
Gotcha. Scott, what are you running?
Both, actually. I have a mag pouch that I put basically at my 1 o'clock on my waist, and it drapes across horizontally across my belt line. And then I have additional mags, draped between my pistol and rifle mag. I have one on the bow clip there. And if I need it, I can drape one more back behind my holster as an oh crap mag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that seems like that would confuse me when it came time to do a mag change if it was on my right side.
Normally, you only need one reload, maybe, if that. So it just depends.
Right.
If it's a lot of prone, rolling around, doing some crazy stuff, I'll put it, on the belt clip. If I have a stage where I'm not doing a whole crazy lot of movement or I need a quick reload, I'll put it one in the pouch up front, and I'll just do it that way.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now you're using LAG tactical mag pouches.
Yep.
Are those like unique? Do you guys make specific Vepr mag pouches?
We don't make a specific Vepr pouch. What we have, so first off, for Johnny's Vepr Cat, we use the R&R Magwell. And for those, we need to tune the Vepr mags to fit inside that Magwell. And when we trim and shave those mags to fit like that, they fit perfectly into our AR-10 mag pouches.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so I just use an AR-10 mag pouch on the front, and that mag fits in there like a glove. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, just like a coincidence. Yeah.
What
a trip!
I mean, working for a Kydex company, also, if I didn't have that shaved mag, I'd still make myself something. So,
yeah. Have you ever thought about making like a back scabbard, like with several on there, so you'd be like Robin Hood and just draw them from there?
A quiver?
Yeah, quiver, like a quiver of Vepr mag pouches.
Or is that a quiver? It doesn't matter. Yeah, no, I haven't thought about doing that.
Quiver's kangaroo pouch is what I'm thinking.
A kangaroo pouch? Yeah,
I want to make
one of those baby Bjorns.
Yeah.
You just pull them out of the leg. Just pull them out of the leg hole when you need them, like a little dispenser.
I want to make some kind of Lara Croft reload where it's comes off of your belt vertically out, and you slam the mag onto the mag, or the gun onto the mag, and you keep shooting that way. It would never work.
Open.
I will buy that. I don't even have a shotgun yet. I will buy that. That sounds amazing.
I just need that in my life.
Yeah. All right. So Scott, write that down. Yeah, we're gonna be watching the gram. Scott Greene on Instagram. Scott Greene 3 gun on Instagram.
All the Instagram likes from the Lara Croft reload.
Yeah, buddy. Okay, so you've now committed to that. It's official. It's on the 3 gun show.
No.
Halloween's coming up, baby. Come on.
You want me to go as Lara Croft? Is that what you want?
That's not what I want, but now that you said it, that's all I can think about.
You want short shorts and a sports bra?
Poll question of the day.
As long as you do the reload, it's totally fine.
I'm gonna bail right now on this whole conversation.
Yeah. All right, so Scott, you're you've got the gear down. You've got your transitions to the shotgun, transition to the pistol. No problem with the rifle. Now, when you were talking about it being a completely different game, and Adam, you mentioned this too, so keep this in mind because it's the same question coming at you next. But what do you mean by completely different game?
It's amazing what you can do without having to really plan around reloads. So, for example, USPSA multi-gun nationals, I didn't reload a gun the entire match, any gun.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never
That's
reloaded
awesome.
a gun. Yeah, so that was different planning. A lot more shooting on the move, a lot more aggressive exits on positions and stuff like that. And it just adds a different pace to it. It's not so much, hey, can I save, a second or two here? It's, hey, how can I gain a 10th on this stage?
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting you mentioned that because I've always thought of 3 gun as like as soon as that beep happens, you're losing time. And no matter what you do, you're causing time to pass. And so the goal is to not lose time as quickly as possible. That's kind of the way I look at it. Maybe it's a negative way to view the stage, or to view the game. But so when you're talking about gaining that extra 10th, are you talking about like pushing harder, taking chances, lots of makeup shots, or what are you talking about there?
Not so much pushing harder. You still got to find your limit and ride that. You can only shoot as fast as you can see, right? So you can't outshoot yourself. You just need to find different ways of manipulating a stage to work for your skill set. So if it's shooting on the move, you shoot on the move. If it's, get to a spot and hose and then sprint to the next spot and hose, you work on that more. It's just, you got to tweak the game to fit you a lot more than you have to tweak the game around a technical aspect of reloading and this and that.
Right. Yeah. Cause I guess when you're planning like a tack or a limited stage, you're basically working your shotgun around, or I guess you're working your stage strategy around where you can load for the shotgun. Right.
Yeah. And even for something as simple as the rifle, if you have offhand steel at between 50 and 100 yards, am I going to crank my scope up, or am I going to just shoot all this close stuff on, 1.5, 2 power? Or do I want this? Do I want that? Instead, open, you have no limits. You just use the dot and you saved yourself, a half second maybe on the adjustment, but just little things like that.
Now, since you brought it up, the 45-degree red dot, what distance do you zero that little guy at?
I'm still playing around with different concepts for it, but right now I've zeroed it at 25.
Okay.
And I will not shoot that dot past 25 yards.
Yeah. That's a good point. So I did the offset dot on the Galil for Red October. And I zeroed it at 20, and basically I decided like anything past like 25, I'm not even going to mess with it, just because I know the holds straight up and down on the Razor for any distance, and I just didn't have enough time to sit there and put a target at every single distance out to 100 yards and figure out where that little dot was going to be.
Yeah, that's my initial thought, was to zero it as the same at 50 yards, the same as my main optic. But after doing some testing with it and doing some holes between 25 and 5 yards, and I shot a couple at 40 yards on like a partial target. I don't want to use a dot for that. I'm just going to put the scope on it and use what I've been shooting the last however many years to use on it. Maybe down the line I'll have more confidence, but for now I'm still just going to run the main primary optic past 25 yards.
Yeah, I gotta say, throwing that side optic on there, the Razor red dot, made me want to throw some iron sights on my gun for tack. I now see like, oh, that's why it's important. I don't know why it took me so long to figure that one out.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to everything.
Yeah, for sure. So, Adam, where are you zeroing your little offset red dot?
I zeroed at the same distance as my scope. I zero at 50. So I guess I'm not trying much hocus pocus with the dot. So like when I first tried it, I was trying to zero at closer distances, and I was telling myself I wasn't going to shoot it at anything super far away. But what you also have to keep in mind is you're still working with that offset between your barrel and the mount. And the mount might even be a little bit farther out than a scope trip typically is. So I found that when I zeroed at really close distances, I had really weird holdover unders because you're zeroed at a very steep part of your bullet's trajectory.
Yeah.
If you think about it, your bullet's rising out to 100 yards. It's covering, a 2-inch gap or 2.5-inch gap between center of your bore and the scope. So, I just zeroed out at 50. I shot limited all last year, so I'm really not scared to shoot anything out to 100 with my dot. That being said, I would say that was one of the things that I think my mind has changed on since the spring. The spring, I was of the mindset that I didn't think the 45-degree dot would buy me very much. I was going to shoot through the scope unless I needed to do a power change. And I guess I found myself more attracted to shooting the dot, but I think that's a little bit more because of what I do at work. I'm a product specialist in red dots here at work, so I shoot a lot of dots. So I think it's just more familiar for me, so I'm not scared to use it. But so I used it a lot more than I thought I would. But at the same time, like you mentioned with the iron sights, I still wouldn't put iron sights on my Tech Ops gun because I had a lot of inconsistencies with them, sight alignment, getting good hits. I would think my iron sights were sighted in, but then I'd get a bad shot. So that's not really an issue with a red dot because if you can see the dot, it's lined up. But yeah, I zero my dot at 50 yards, just like I do my scope.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess I'll have to play with those iron sights to see. So I've got a question. So I've got my Galil here, and I did set this up for Tac Ops for a different match, but this is where I put my red dot. It's all the way back on the receiver, almost completely above the trigger. Now I've seen guys run them up under the front part of the scope and even farther down. Is there a consensus amongst open shooters on where that red dot is supposed to be for the game?
I don't know that there's a consensus. I think it's probably most popular to mount it further back, but as far as the optics going itself, it's I don't think it really matters as long as it's a solid mount. It's not like on your handguard and your handguard's moving around.
Yeah.
If you think about it, that same dot that you're mounting on your rifle is the dot that you're going to mount on your pistol, and your pistol it's going to be, it's going to be arm's length away. So,
and that's what threw me is it's farther back, right? It's on the back side of the, I guess, the mount, and so then it's closer to my eye. But when I run like an aim point, that I used to run when I first started shooting 3-gun, or when I run like the Crossfire or the UH-1 now, I run it far forward, and this is obviously an AK, but unlike an AR, it would be over the ejection port, and so that like caused me to pause. I'm like, this is like 5 inches farther back from where I normally have it, and so I was wondering how much that mattered. Scott, have you noticed any sort of difference? Have you tried it either or both ways, or?
I put mine on the rear only because that's where I slapped it on there, where it had space on the upper receiver, and I never moved it. Yeah.
Yeah, I do a lot of that stuff too. Like people ask me like, "Hey, why do you do that?" I'm like, I just did that one time when I was in a hurry, and that's where it's been. So,
yep. And it had space on the receiver. I didn't have to take off my primary optic to re-zero it or anything later, so I just put it on and left it there. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I would say it's more dependent on where you can get a solid mount, because there's definitely 45-degree mounts on the market that will come loose. And other ones, like, I mean, if you look at that Warren ramp mount, I mean, that's probably one of the better ones. That's super solid mount. They had room to machine on a rail in the back. So that's where people ended up putting it. But if you have a solid way to put it on the front, then I would say that's a winner too. It's really about finding a solid mount. And there's I think there's quite a few of them out there, but there's definitely a couple that come loose.
Yeah, the one I used was the Vortex Razor 45-degree. It's the one the Vortex Optics sells, and I like that. Didn't come loose at all, but I did put it on the back. So now I kind of want to mess around with it on the front. Probably do that on one of the range days here. But so Adam, we're going to come back to the completely different game question, but we do have a question from Jay Christensen in the chat, and he says, Adam, which dot do you recommend for an open pistol that is going to be frame mounted?
Frame mount, I'd say it's really irrelevant. I would pick the same one. I'd pick the Viper out of our three. Our three, real quick, is the Viper, the Venom, and the Razor. Razor was the first one we came out with in the microdot game, kind of before people started putting them on pistols. And then the adaptations for pistols are some of where the Venom and the Viper came from. The Viper has the battery mounted underneath, so it sits the lowest relative to the other two. And I would take getting the dot lower to the gun over any other feature. Well, aside from reliability, it's like reliability and then sitting low on the gun. So that's why I picked the Viper.
So I've got my my Viper here on my little slide that I'm making for Carry Optics. I'm pretty excited about. But so why is it important to have the dot lower, Adam?
Ooh, maybe you can illustrate this for us, Dave.
Sure, I'll try. You tell me what to do.
Take the dot off there, and then just hold the slide up. Okay. So think about where your iron sights typically are on a pistol.
Gotcha.
You're sitting maybe a quarter inch, 3/8 of an inch off the slide.
Mm-hmm.
Now you slap a red dot on there, and you're another 3/8 of an inch, or the height over bore, just like on your rifle, just got higher.
Right.
And that's with the dot that sits low, and that's if you milled it into your slide really well. Now you get some of the other dots, some of the bigger ones. The one that's made by the L and starts with the D, that one sits really high. So it's got a huge window, but that window is also really high on the pistol. So the height over bore of that dot is really high, and that is a pretty significant change technique wise from what you would be used to if you came up shooting iron sights. Like that would be a big learning curve. And so kind of, well, I say slide ride or die, tongue in cheek, like that was what made the transition to an open pistol really easy for me, because it was just like iron sights, except it didn't have to line them up.
Right.
Whereas look at the traditional frame mount guns, that dot sits maybe like an inch or inch and a half over the center of the bore. And now that's a pretty significant difference in how you hold an open pistol versus an iron sighted pistol. So
right. And that's what Scott was talking about earlier, is like finding that dot. And that's what I was referring to, is how I've never been able to do it. So I see some companies make like a plate in a rear sight that just goes in the dovetail. And that just seems so odd because it's so stinking high doing that. This one I'm going to have sent off to be milled in.
It is. And if I'm brutally honest, I mean, it does work. The dovetail mount does work. There are good ones out there. Choose wisely. We recommend the one from Evolution Gunworks, EGW. If you're going to do it, buy that one. They make them for pretty much all the popular handguns out there. But it is a Band-Aid. It is it is strictly for the guy who is not willing to buy a slide that was milled or mill his slide. It's it's kind of like if they just won't do that, well, okay, you can mount a dot on your handgun if you use this accessory,
Right.
but a frame mount, traditional IPSC gun or milling it into the slide is always preferred in every way.
It's like that dude that has like the carry handle on his AR and then like bolts a scope on top of that, and you're like, dude, that's like 8 inches off of your cheek. Like, how do you see through that thing?
I mean, yeah, you pulled it off and you zeroed it, but like that's not what you wanted.
Yeah. So Jay, hope that answers your question. And so Adam, we'll come back to the completely different game question here. So I've heard you mention this before as well. Maybe it was via text or something like that. But so what have you noticed is different about the 3-gun game, shooting open versus shooting tack?
I'm along the same lines as Scott. In that I would say in all the other divisions, there's an element of grace or flow to the stage. The stage rolls out a lot slower than it does in open because your shotgun only holds so much ammo, and you're using an iron-sighted pistol, and you might have to change magnification on your scope or things like that. So there's always kind of this like digesting process of a stage that you had to work out all these little manipulations, or there are the little problems within the problem. Whereas in open, it's just wrecking ball every time. You you can't relax, you can't be smooth. I mean, you got to shoot open angry. You just got to get. I mean, it's just like high school football. You just got to get angry and smash. Yep. So that's kind of how. I mean, it was like, what mags do I need to do as few reloads as possible? And then the shooting is the same, but like when I watch video of myself on, from this season, critiquing myself, like all I see is footwork. That's because you're always going to see the things that you don't like. All I see is positions and footwork. Like the guns are running, you're shooting fast, you're getting your hits, but all of a sudden, like all that matters is footwork. It wasn't I bobbled that quad. It wasn't I took 2 makeup shots on that long range pistol shot. Like all the pistol shots are easy now. The shotgun holds tons of ammo, and you're never gonna have to reload the rifle. So the sheer, like, just the aggressive pace of a stage, because you didn't have to do all those things you had to figure out before. You had to count backwards in your head. You had to do 9, 8, 7, 6, and then I'm gonna quad.
8, 7, 6.
Me up to 10, and then
9,
I'm gonna
8, 7, 6.
Yeah, and then I gotta get a slug in here. It's like, no, I'm gonna shoot the big stick, drop it on the ground, put the mag that's full of slugs in, shoot the slugs, and then I'm gonna put another mag in that's full of shot, and I'm gonna shoot the rest of the targets.
Shoot, that sounds like fun. I might want to shoot open.
Yeah.
Oh, and slugs, game changer. I mean, like, not hard anymore. Like,
really?
Yeah. You want double tap slugs at 100 yards? Just go ahead. Just let them fly. They're gonna hit.
Nice. So the on the shotgun, speaking of slugs, I gotta ask, like, a lot of times when we come up to a stage, and especially this year, it seems like people are really starting to hate the shotgun for some reason, and there's just shitloads of pistol targets out there.
Why though?
Yeah, why though? And even the pistol shotgun optional targets end up being like pistol targets. It like doesn't make sense because I have 23 tries in my magazine. So I don't necessarily worry if I miss. I just keep shooting until I knock it down. Now, is it the same way with shotgun, or do you take loving care with every single round like you would in TAC or limited?
It's
Scott Greene.
Yeah, it depends on the stage. I mean, what the round count for the stage is. If you've got a 20-round shotgun mag and you've got 19 shotgun targets, you're not gonna go crazy. Although if there is a bunch, say you have 14 in your face and then you got a bunch over here, I may just go crazy on those, pop a reload in and go crazy on those. It's not really that big of a deal. But there is still, play to your strengths. If you're slow at reloading it, you'll take your time, get your hits. It's a lot easier to get your hits. If you're not, go ham, reload it, and go ham.
Yeah. So is the default then go ham, be an animal?
Not for me, yeah. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
you gotta.
It's so much fun when just shooting those things. I mean, if you really put the pedal down, it's hard to let off that pedal.
Yeah, I bet. All right, well, Scott, another question here for you from Jay Christensen. He says, Scott, are you running minor or major in the open pistol for 3-gun, 9mm or 38 Super?
So I've been running a borrowed gun all year. It was Tiffany blue, and I shot it literally all year. That was a 9 major gun, and I shot 9 major all year.
Oh, you did?
I did. Every match I shot major ammo through it.
Okay, so for a guy who's probably put 8 rounds downrange in an open gun, why? Why do you have to do that?
So when I first started shooting it, I was shooting USPSA matches, and I wanted the major power factor.
Oh, right.
Yep. And then that was about 3 months of me just using that. And then I tried some minor ammo, and it was too soft, and the dot didn't move enough. And so it
seems counterintuitive. Can you explain that one a little bit more?
So I would be able to see faster than I could shoot with that. I could not keep up with my eyes. My finger couldn't keep up. So if I for example, had a plate rack and you're shooting super soft ammo out of a big fancy gun, I couldn't shoot fast enough, and I would start skipping over targets because there's no recoil really, and the dot doesn't move that much with that light of ammo. So I needed a little bit of recoil to slow myself and get back in control a little bit and make sure I was seeing what I was supposed to be able to see. So that's why I shot it. And then after that, it was just, that's what I'm used to. I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's
one of those superstition things.
Yeah. So I tried to match with minor, and I couldn't keep up with my eyes.
That's weird, man. Like, I would not have thought that at all. I would have thought the minor, no matter what, would have been better.
Just learn with something first, and then I don't like change, so I'll just stick with it.
Yeah, that's why you got that yellow wall behind you.
I hate that wall. I bought the house, 11 months ago, and I've still every day I look at this thing and hate myself for not painting it.
Yeah, and for those of you at home, I'm not just making fun of Scott's wall. He mentions that every single time he comes on the 3-gun show before we get started.
It gives me a headache when I walk in here.
Well, okay, so that's interesting to know. That's like a really cool point of data. Like, I would not have guessed that at all. I would assume like you always just default to like the softest ammo possible. So that's a good point of data.
Well, it's different. Because that was one of the things I always heard from open guys. They're always like, "Oh no, you got to shoot major to run the comp. Got to shoot major to run the comp."
Which sounds like BS to me, because I don't think like 9mm is moving fast enough anyway to work a comp.
Right. Well, nine major is.
It is.
Oh yeah. The question is like,
I'm sorry to interrupt, Adam, but for like comparison's sake, like what's the power factor between 9 minor and 9 major?
It jumps up about 40.
Points.
Yeah, so it's about 130 to 170, maybe a little more depends on factory ammo or whatnot. But yeah,
Josh and Jerry are probably shooting ammo that's like 122 power factor, and major is 165.
I gotcha.
But like the question, I mean, one of the questions was like, well, if you're gonna shoot minor, do you need a comp? Does the comp do anything? And like so. I'm kind of the opposite of Scott. Atlas Gunworks built me a purpose-built open minor gun. Excuse me, with a single port comp, and that one, like it, once the gun is running, like once the ammo is hot enough to run the gun reliably, hold the slide open long enough so that the magazine can present the cartridge. The comp. I wouldn't say like I want a hotter load to run the comp, but the comp is like a moderator, so that you can pretty much put any kind of ammo in there and it's going to do the same. Like the pulse coming back into your hand changes. So yeah, I can dial in the ammo to be what I want it to be. But as far as like the way the gun tracks, the gun's going to track the same every time, whether I put my hand-loaded 115 Haps in there, if I put Winchester White Box in there, or Hornady Steel Match, like so, like because like in an uncomped gun, you know, in the other divisions, guys are hand loading their ammo to tune that recoil impulse, right? Because that translates into, you know, how much their gun is rocking back and forth. In an open gun, it's, you know, the comp holds the gun level, and then the slide snaps. So the slide snapping is still the pulse that you feel, but the comp is holding the gun flat. And so, like, you know, Ruben and Travis, you know, because we have access to the same ammo here, we buy it together and things like that. They'll buy a batch of ammo, and they'll be like, oh, I don't want that, you know, I'd rather hand load than shoot that stuff. And I'm like, well, give it to me. Like, I slap it in there. I slap it in there. It all shoots the same for me. So, you know, my gun eats it no matter what it is. And the beauty of it is, a gun like that really thrives on a lukewarm, kind of moderately hot 115 grain load, you know. So whereas
it's like Winchester white box or Federal bulk pack kind of stuff. Is that what you're talking about?
That stuff is perfect. Like, okay. It is perfect. That's what I'm basically recreating in hand loads. And that's only because that's how we, you know, source the components. Yeah, where guys are chasing like these magical recipes to push 135, 147 grain pills just to shoot buttery smooth out of a limited gun. Open gun, I mean, just you put a little bit of extra hot sauce on it to run the comp, and you shoot the light, cheap bullets. So I mean, it's you know, it's kind of cool that way. I think that was a pleasant surprise for me, that that the guns would run that good and it would make that much of a difference with minor ammo.
Yeah, that is interesting. So guys, that's 2 questions from Jay Christensen on Open Gear. Is Jay open curious, you think?
Oh, definitely.
I mean, Jay Mottola's out there somewhere.
Yeah, so
Sean Burrows is in the closet. He's in right now. He's in the
is
open
he open
closet.
Curious too?
He's in the open closet. He won't admit it, but he is.
Nice. Well, we have a couple more questions in the chat here. So Rachel Depew says, "I'm open curious," which sounds expensive for Adam.
I already ordered her a shotgun, so.
Oh my.
We're just gonna skip the Benelli experience and go. So we can use the same equipment.
And Tim asks, what bullet weight do you guys use for long range targets? Something like a 75 or 77 grain bullet ? So I'm gonna guess Adam runs a 75 grain, and I'm gonna guess Scott just runs 55 because that's what he has and he doesn't like change. Scott, go.
Wrong.
Damn.
I don't like change, but I'm not going to shoot 55 grain targets at long range. Not because I'm not confident being able to hit it with that. I want to have a nice visual flash when I hit a long range target. And I want the RO to have a nice visual flash.
Yeah. So I have a follow-up question when you're done there based on that answer.
So I used to hand load 69 grains, and I still do. But I got really tired of putting all, because I have a single stage press, and the time and effort with the case prep and stuff just really started getting in the way. So I just started buying 77s the last couple of matches. I've been using that.
Got it. So Scott, based on what you said there, so the reason I went to a heavier bullet is I was shooting like 55 grain Hornady. Because like for the summer of 2016, that stuff was on sale at Cabela's like all the time. 55 grain Hornady VMAX. That stuff was awesome. Laser beams, super flat, hardly any hold. You get a little bit of wind, they start flying all over the place. But they would not make the targets move. And I had to switch to a heavier bullet because I was tired of hearing the ding and just, you know, watching the RO's blank face like, come on, bro, that friggin' hit that thing. So I found that 75 grain and 77 grain are much, much more decisive. But with the proliferation of like the magneto speed flashers, do you think 55 grain might be the ticket coming up here?
If you can find one that grips for you and holds a consistent, you know, velocity, then I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. I don't see myself changing unless I found some crazy load or crazy round that just made it better. But I mean, I don't see myself changing for now. I shoot, 200 rounds of long range a year.
Right.
So, I mean, I'll just do that. And again, I don't like change, so I'll keep doing it.
Works for me, man. Adam, what do you think, man?
You kind of had me pegged a little bit. When we do use the heavy bullets, I do use a 75 grain Hornady. However, the Zero is a little bit different than the Hoser ammo, so I don't use it as much. And if I'm going to use it, especially with UML rules allowing for reconfiguring, I'm more inclined now to have an upper that's sighted in for 75s and an upper that's sighted in for Hoser ammo.
Oh, interesting.
And go that way. But we hooked in the end of last fall. We hooked into some Hornady 62 grain stuff that we really liked. Ruben and Travis really liked the 223 version of it, and then I like the 556. It's just a little bit hotter, but we have, it was a good price. It was similarly priced to a 55 grain, but we kind of had performance across the board that we liked, and then couple that with the matches that we went to this year. A lot of the matches that we went to weren't really long range heavy. I mean, outside of Shooter Source, everything was, either a sane, a pretty close distance, or a not going to worry about it distance, or the long range that was there wasn't a super big factor in the match. So I just called a good, Wyoming. Wyoming would be a good example. They had legitimate long range targets there, but there was like 4 of them. So I mean, I wasn't too worried about it. Not enough to ship a separate, maintain a separate kind of ammo on the road. So I went 62 grain for everything pretty much this year, but I do supplement in some 75s. I'm gonna have some 75s for hard as hell, especially after that spinner from last year. So.
Yeah, I feel like, well, okay, so 2 things. One, I feel like matches have been kind of dumbed down this year, and I'm everyone I say that again.
Agreed.
All right. I was just about to say everyone that I ask off the air agrees, and everyone I ask on the air is like, no, I think they're fine. So yeah, good that we're all on the same page on that one. Second one would be that the Hornady Black. I've been looking at that because those have been showing up on sale a lot at different places, and it seems like they offer the Hornady Black in, almost every single round, like you said, 62 grain, 55 grain, 75 grain. Have you messed at all with that? And is it different than their normal 75 grain precision load?
As far as the 75 grain Black, I'm not terribly sure there's a difference there. I guess I can say, I mean, we've shot a lot of Black. Black is a majority of what we've sourced, but also this year, for those who don't know, in the industry, there's a big, the ordnance factory in Lake City, Missouri. It's a government facility, but private companies take turns bidding to run it. And very recently, Hornady took over the bid to run that. And so that's where you're also seeing, in addition to Black, because Black came out and that was their Hoser ammo, right? That was their
Right.
plinking fun ammo. Well, now they came out with the Frontier line.
Frontier.
Yeah, which is Lake City XM193. So instead of being loaded in Nebraska at their factory, that's the XM193 surplus that's coming out of the Lake City arsenal. So that stuff's worth checking out too. We've been getting that stuff in and starting to play with it a little bit. It's just kind of starting to hit the market, but that stuff's been very promising as well.
Yeah, and the price is pretty good on it too, so that's always nice.
Yeah, it is good.
Interesting to know.
We're kind of looking at that too, because they're throwing some of the match bullets on it too, and so for the ranges and the Vortex Academy here, we're kind of looking at that as like, is that a load that we can just use for everything, for testing and for classes, and we just got some of it in not too long ago, so initially though it looks really good.
Right on. Well, good to know. All right, so we talked about how open is a completely different game. So what is different about like preparing and traveling to a match? Seems like you got a little bit more gear. Scott, is I see you rolling your eyes. I know that you've got this sweet sports car because you're a 3-gun pro. So the
I hate you so much.
I love you too, buddy.
Oh,
so the Scott wagon, is that thing just like loaded to the gills with bags and pods and things like that?
no, I fit all my gear, all my 3-gun gear in 2 bags. I have that Voodoo 3-gun case, the big one. And then I have a little tiny, backpack. And then that's all I carry to the match. And then I'll have, if I'm driving, a suitcase or, just a backpack full of clothes, and that's it. And there's plenty of room in there. I can take 3 guys worth of gear in that car to the range. And yeah, I mean, there is a lot more gear, but I've just, through traveling quite a bit, learned how to pick necessary items and then leave all the junk at home.
Yeah.
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 I mean, yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say that's kind of different because when I saw Adam at Jeff Kirkwell Memorial Match, he had like one Ford Transit van dedicated to himself.
Hey, I was carrying the prizes.
Oh. Well, same question for you, Adam. What's different about traveling to matches now?
Well, when I go to the airport, I light my cigar with $100 bill as I hand it over to the gate agent because there's no way your Pelican weighs 50 pounds now. But I mean, Scott and I both kind of came from the TAC Limited background, so like, I guess I know I don't need all that stuff. It's handy sometimes, but I mean, one of my goals for open was really not to get sucked deep down into the weeds on that. So I have a bipod. I bring it. And then, I have big sticks. I have a couple of big sticks for my pistol, which I didn't have before. I kind of condensed down my magazines that I bring for my rifle. I mean, really, it's a D60, a couple of 30s, and a 46er. So, I kind of condensed down what I was bringing anyway, and then it just kind of filled back with some extra stuff. But I mean, the guns are a little bit heavier. Vepper's a little bit heavier than a tube fed shotgun, and then you're bringing the magazines too. So I mean, I bring 2 20s and 3 12 rounders for the shotgun, and other than that, it's pretty much the same stuff that I was bringing before. And then I mean, I bring backup dots too, both because just in case I need them, but also in case customers need them. So that's different too, is that I have additional optics and batteries where I wasn't necessarily bringing as much of that before.
Yeah, I got to travel to TriggerCon with the Vortex crew, and wow, you guys roll with a ton of batteries. Holy cow.
Yeah. Well, and not just that, but like switch view levers. I swear everybody I know this year has been breaking switch view levers left and right. So I can't leave my desk without a switch view lever in my back pocket, it seems like.
Knock on wood, I haven't broken one yet.
Which, if you're at a match and yours breaks, come find me. I have extra ones. Just give me your broken one, and we'll hot swap there.
There you go. Perfect. Well, okay, all right. So you do you guys feel like you've grasped open, or do you feel like you're still learning open? Adam, we'll go with you here first.
I think I've embraced it. I think I mean, I was going to do it for a year and see. And I think I'm going to stay for another year. It's good. I like it. It's a different game. And then, I mean, shooting the Vepper's fun. It just is. So, I do miss a tube fed shotgun. Like, I like them both, but, I like shooting the Vepper, and then shooting the dot pistol. There's no such thing as a hard pistol shot anymore. Like, all pistol shots are easy. So
just put the dot on the target and squeeze.
Yeah, like, because that's the thing, is like, it's not I wouldn't say it. What it does is it basically gives you a huge rear sight. because the window on the front is basically facilitating a reflection. So essentially, instead of being front sight focused, you're just looking through the window, and if you can see the dot in the window, that's essentially having your front and rear sight lined up. So sight alignment throughout a stage when you present to a target is no longer a thing. So when you used to have that, the occasional 30-yard pistol shot at a steel challenge plate or whatever, and you kind of like would slow down and take that extra beat to like make sure you got a good shot. Here it's like, I mean, as long as you press a good trigger, you're gonna hit it. So I think the pistol dot really like that. My pistol shooting was okay before, but it went up a notch with a dot for sure, and that was something I didn't really expect. It's kind of like, well, I'm gonna shoot a dot pistol because I have to.
Yeah, because I remember you specifically talking on the podcast about how, like, man, if I try, I mean, I would go to open because of the Vepers, but if I try open, I'm gonna shoot my iron sight pistol.
Because I have an iron sight pistol that I like, So I mean, favorite gun I own's been in my safe all year, but yeah, no, I was surprised how much I liked shooting a dot pistol, because it makes it point and click, not necessarily faster, but you can't lie to yourself on the sight alignment where you can on an iron sight pistol. You can be a little off to one side or the other, and oh yeah, that's good, but then you press the trigger and you didn't hit it. So
yeah, I find that a lot actually. So Scott, do you feel like you've got a good grasp of open division now, or is there learning left on the table for you?
I'm sure there's always something left to learn, but I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp on it. I still haven't fully committed to the gear war. Like, I don't own any bags or any of that stuff. I have a bipod, one bipod, and then that's it. But got a pretty good grasp on it. I'm like Adam. I'm gonna keep doing it. Love it next year. Get my open pistol, mine this time. We'll be done here pretty soon.
Tiffany blue?
No.
Oh.
I'm actually, I had to give that one back last week, and so now I got to shoot an iron-sighted pistol this weekend. I'm terrified. Like,
what does this do?
I'm pretty scared to see how that's going to go. Do a little shooting, and hopefully I'll figure out how to line up sights again.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, the gear war, the gear race thing is kind of weird. Like, I don't like it either, but as soon as I got my D60, all I wanted to use was the D60, But I look at like all the bags, and I know it just takes like probably like an easy conversation with someone, but I look at all the bags. I'm like, I don't even know what all those do. Like, why do you need 4 bags to go to one stage? It just seems odd.
I think it's just kind of a trap. Like, just because you can use anything you want, like, doesn't mean you have to or you should. I mean, I have a bipod. It's actually the wrong size. Like, I should have bought one that was a little bit longer. But like, you don't need a bipod to hit a 300-yard target. You certainly don't need a bipod to hit a 100-yard target. In fact, I've probably used my bipod more as a barricade stop than actually a bipod. I mean,
that's a good point.
Advantage in when it's not.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Adam. Like, when you talk about the trap, I think a lot of the things that we as shooters think we need in 3-gun end up being traps. Like, and magnification is like the easiest example, right? Because a lot of people will think like, oh, well, that's a 100-yard target or a 75-yard offhand shot. I better dial up to 2. Like, nah, that's a red dot shot. That's like a 1x shot right there.
Yeah, it's kind of like the guy who takes a brace to shoot a 25. Like, if the longest target in the bay is 25 yards, but they take a brace to shoot it. But at the same time, if that target was on a long range stage, they would shoot it offhand. Like,
yeah,
I mean, you don't need a brace to hit an IPSC paper at 25 yards, but here you are leaning against a post.
Yeah, exactly. There's our club match in Colorado. So Colorado, I love you. I love all the 3-gunners here, but we have no long range, and calling the 200-yard bay the long range bay is dumb. And So
you die a little inside every time.
I do. I really do. And there's a longer story that I'll tell you later on that one. But the first part of the year, I ran a lot of 1X because of several conversations, Adam, that you and I had, and with a podcast I did with Ruben Alexson from Vortex as well. And I decided, like, I'm going to shoot a bunch of 1X in club matches and see how that works. And man, you're right. Like, bracing on shots for offhand paper and dialing magnification, like a lot of the times we just use it as a crutch and it's not necessarily needed. And you'd be surprised like how much you can do with a 1X without really trying that hard.
Yeah, but then at the same time, like when you have a dedicated 1X red dot, sometimes I do dial up to 2X or 3X, if you got like a 50-yard plate rack or something like that, because your first shot probability does increase a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, guys who are that, well, it's on 1 power, it's on 6 power, and nothing in between. Okay, there you're missing out. But yeah, I mean, there's just what the target needs. That's all you have to give it, just what it needs, no more, no less. And so I think sometimes you get shooters fall into the trap of the opportunity to brace on something, or the opportunity to use magnification, or the opportunity to use whatever accessory. But just because you have that opportunity doesn't mean it's advantageous. So, I mean, you talked about going prone. I can't go prone. Well, if this is in the middle of the stage and you have to leave after you shoot that position, you might not want to go prone, because once you're down and prone, you got to get back up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you need to go prone to shoot 100 yards? I don't. So, I mean, if you can take that off a barricade or something like that, where you can have a knee down or something that you can get up and onto the next thing faster, I don't know that going prone bought you anything.
It's a good point, man. All right, Scott, we got a question for you in the chat here, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Alexander Hitch. Actually, this is just a comment. Alexander Hitch says Scott should use the pink Limcat.
She's probably talking about her gun. That's AJ. She's one of my teammates down here. She lives about an hour from me, but yeah. I'm not
cool. So
I'm not shooting her pink gun. No.
AJ, would you lend Scott your pink Limcat?
Not even for the gram.
Tiffany blue, pink. I'm just gonna. I'll do it. Whatever. I'll play. Sure.
With a yellow wall. It's like Easter around your house, man.
Oh no.
Easter all year.
I have daycare
goods. Risen.
I like those eggs that have the stuff inside. What are those called? Cadbury cream eggs.
Easter eggs?
Yeah, Easter eggs. Those are awesome.
Any egg has something inside, Dave.
Whoa. That's a Confucius thing right there. All right, guys. So the first time that the three of us shot together, and correct me if I'm wrong in here, because Scott, we didn't shoot together at Three Gun Nation Nationals, Hurricane Nationals, right?
Hurricane Nats.
We did.
Oh, you were there? Okay, so the second time we shot together was the Three Gun Nation Southwest Regional, and I was shooting PCC division because I was talking mad trash about PCC division in 3-gun, and several listeners of the show urged me to try it. Mm-hmm. And it turned out I was right. It sucks in 3-gun. PCC is great by itself. It's great in PCC matches, but it's terrible for 3-gun because you end up missing out on all the fun stuff like the long-range targets. So my question is, do you guys have you found any time where you're like, man, I wish I was shooting TAC right now, or I wish I was shooting limited right now? Like, this would be a really fun TAC stage.
There's not really a stage that I would want to shoot TAC over open, but just a couple small things, like charging a pistol. I have a frame mounted optic, so I have a charging handle, and I don't like releasing my grip entirely off the gun to come back here. Like just rolling over and rolling back in. And then I don't like dumping the shotgun with a 20-round mag into a trash can. That's
Some graceful way to do that.
That sucks.
Yeah, I saw a video of Joel Turner at I think it was the Three Gun Nation Florida Regional. I'm not sure which one that was, South Regional maybe this year. It was his first match shooting that distance shotgun, and I've never seen someone so gingerly dump a shotgun before. Like, he made positive that thing wasn't moving before he took off.
Yeah, it can get a little sketchy, and then if you slam it in there hard enough, you're gonna jack your mag up. So I mean,
so do you ever drop the mag to dump it? Is that a thing?
I don't want to take the extra time.
Oh, okay.
If there was space to do it, sure, but otherwise, I'm just gonna. I found the best way for me is kind of to roll the gun over so the mag's coming vertical, right, and then hook that on the back of the trash can and lay the stock on the other side of the trash can, It's hard to describe, and it's faster than it sounds. But you just kind of roll the gun as you're dumping it. Put the mag.
It's like
on
a K.
the back lip. Yeah, put the mag on the back lip, and then let the stock fall on the other lip of the trash can.
Got it. So you got to wedge that thing in there.
Kinda, yeah.
It's like making sure your jack is in the proper position after you change a tire. So you don't want that thing hitting you in the head as you're driving.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be more careful at my next match, but that's not why.
Should we talk about that in a minute here, Amax? Let's talk about this missing tack versus limited question, and then we'll get into what you just alluded to.
All right. I guess I don't. I wouldn't say that I saw a stage where I was like, man, I wish I was shooting limited or I was shooting open. I think it's more just like still organically being a gun enthusiast. Like, we'll see somebody burn down a stage in limited or in tack with, they'll just nail their quads and really crush something with a tube shotgun, or some of my Atlas teammates, I'll watch them just mow something down with their pistol, and I'm like, man, I got a pistol just like that. I mean, I haven't shot that thing in a long time. So I kind of find myself longing for the guns that I'm not shooting when I spend a lot of time with a particular set. So
you think about your other guns while you're shooting the current guns?
I wonder, like, is my pistol thinking of me while I'm thinking of it? I don't know.
Love the one you're with, buddy.
I know. But I get to be that, like right now, it's that time of year. Like, I think it's time to set this one down and like pick up something else for a little bit. But like, I would shoot every match 3 times if I could. I'd shoot all 3 divisions. So,
which would you shoot first? Which division?
Left to my own devices. No other. Just if I was just shooting 3 gun for 3 gun's sake, I would shoot limited.
And then,
I'd probably shoot open. Now that I've kind of got the bug and kind of gone through the painful part.
And then your third turn would be tack.
Yeah. Yeah, I shot shooter source and tack, and it wasn't as much fun as I remembered.
Yeah. So we've got another question in the hopper here. Actually, sorry, this isn't a question. Kevin Mead says, pink pistol with Lara Croft loads. I'm really looking forward to the Halloween IG post now.
Hey man, it's next week.
And AJ says, duh, which I think means duh, she'll lend you her pistol.
Tell AJ to come out on Saturday. We'll do it.
All right.
We'll do an IG video. We'll do it.
Perfect. It's decided then. All right. So guys, 2019's dwindling down. 2018's dwindling down. 2019 is on the horizon. Forgot what day it was. Yeah, we time traveled. 2019's on the horizon. So I'm guessing both of you are going to be sticking with open for the next year.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. For the foreseeable future. Yeah.
All right. So Scott, what are you looking forward to next year? What goals, what things do you want to accomplish in open?
Goals for next year. See, this is a hard thing for me. I haven't really sat down and even picked out my schedule for next year yet.
I haven't either, dude. You just get yours done and send it to me. That'd make it much easier on me.
Well, you won't follow through like your West Coast trip this year.
I spent
Mister
all the time on the western side of the United States.
Central.
We can
You were
argue
in-
this later.
Yeah.
You're between the mountains.
I don't know. I'm debating if I want to go to Florida. I mean, I kind of have to defend my multi-gun nationals title. But that's
You
gonna
almost
be
have to now too if you want to do any sort of IPSC stuff in the future too, because they kind of hold you hostage with that, right? Or at least, let me rephrase that. That's a requirement to go to an IPSC match, is that you have USPSA experience.
I don't know what the rules are going to be for the shotgun and the rifle world shoots. I know the handgun world shoot requires you to attend 3 out of 4 matches between the IPSC nationals and USPSA nationals this year and next year. But the shotgun and rifle may still be a little different because the rifle world shoot is next year and the shotgun one just happened. So
You answered my dumb question.
Gotcha.
It's rifles. So is everyone going to be like rifle crazy next spring, and like we're going to do a bunch of rifle only matches to get ready?
There's a rifle series that SMD is trying to currently put together. I'm pretty sure I'm going to want to try to go to that rifle world shoot next year. I'm still working out the details. So
that'd be fun. What? I'm trying to recall. I can't recall what country.
That one's in Sweden. It's
Sweden,
in August. Yeah.
Okay, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be a fun one. But defend my title at multi-gun nationals if I can make it down to Florida. I didn't lose a 3-gun match all year this year, so I want to try to keep that streak going. But then again, if there's no open heat at a match and there's a lot of tack heat, I may just go to tack and try to compete with people. It's fun competing as opposed to if no one's there, why play? I want to compete against the best and I want to try to beat the best. So
right, it's not all about the trophy hunting for you.
No, I want to strip trophies from people.
Josh Freilich. And he didn't say anything, so that means I'm right.
Do what? I lost you.
And Scott didn't say anything, so that means I'm right.
No, not Josh. I have my titles right now, but he does have the IPSC World Shoot, which he will have for 3 years. And then we'll find it out 3 years from now. It'll be fun. Hopefully his teammates this time.
Do you ever think like maybe we should just do like a backyard brawl? Like just set up some targets?
I'm not gonna throw punches with that, man. Are you crazy?
Oh, I didn't mean punches at all.
That's a poor decision.
I was thinking like shooting targets, but if you want to fight Josh, that's cool.
No, never.
Let's do that on the 3-gun show.
Tickets either.
No.
Yeah. I will get plane tickets so you guys can fight each other.
I will get a plane ticket around the country, the other side of the world.
Josh is a big teddy bear now. He wouldn't hurt you.
I would love to have
I'm not so sure. he remembers.
I just said that so he wouldn't maul me.
Oh, I would love to have a Top Shot-esque match with Josh where there's all these guns laid out and we just compete doing whatever people tell us to do. That'd be fun.
We have a range for that.
Dude, we played I went to the woods, the Wyoming woods with some buddies of mine, and we played horse with 22s, and this was a Scott Greene recommendation. Is like, don't bring any of your 3-gun gear, just go and shoot and have fun. And I did. And we played horse with 22s. So basically we had like, I think 5 22 rifles and 3 22 pistols or something like that. And we put like all these little targets out, and some were like pop cans and some were water bottles, but I bought like plastic dinosaurs from Walmart. And so you got to pick your target. You got to pick the position that you were shooting in, and it could be offhand, could be single, could be one hand, could be standing on one leg. It's just like horse, right? And we played, I don't remember what the hell we called it. Probably called it horse, but we played that with 22s. That was a kick in the pants.
Mm-hmm.
That would be fun. You and Josh should do that.
I'm game. Let's set it up.
All right.
We'll meet at the Vortex range sometime next year. We'll do a little fun.
A little grudge match.
That'd be fun. Yeah, we'll bring out all the guns. Have all the fun. Yeah.
Yes.
do it.
That can be arranged.
All right. So Amax shooting open next year. You just you said you're going to stick it for one more year. So what's the plan?
I'm good. Well, right now, like, I mean, I know Scott didn't pull it off this year, but for most people know that Josh and I, we swim in the same hometown, and I'm just saying,
Oh,
we got a title to defend next year, so come take it, buddy.
what is that from?
Which one's that one? Is that
that's the Minnesota 3-gun point series?
Oh, okay.
I am doing
that's
a
our
trip to
local
Minnesota.
points race.
Oh.
All in good fun. I think Josh was on the road one too many times and missed too many matches. I just barely had enough scores to cinch that title, but I was pretty stoked because that was one of my goals for the year was to do well. I've never won a points race in the Minnesota 3-gun series, either in TAC or in limited, and that, I mean, our group up in Minnesota brings heat, so that was fun to win. First time that I won anything of consequence for me in open. Man, I was really close at Surefire, but didn't pull it off. And
Yeah. All right, before we wrap here, we got to talk about that Amax. What happened at Surefire, buddy?
well, same thing that happens to everybody eventually. So Surefire, for those who don't know, it's it's got 15 stages.
15 plus shoot off, yeah.
Yeah, so I was 12 stages deep in the Surefire match. I was sitting fourth going into that day. I probably had a second place run going for the match, and there was a big pistol array, and then I shot some rifle stuff, and there was one of those Rubbermaid trash can dump barrels, and so I transferred the rifle into my weak hand. So I was holding it by the buffer tube, and I watched the muzzle go into the barrel. So the muzzle was below the rim of the barrel when I let go, and that's where I went wrong.
You let go instead of guiding it in. Is that what the deal is?
Yeah, I let go, and when it went down, we didn't get there. Nobody was really watching, and the video didn't show it. But basically, I'm guessing that when it got to the Magwell, it had forward momentum and basically cartwheeled over the rim and hit the ground. So loaded rifle hits the ground. They called the range master, but there wasn't anything to talk about. I was like, oh well, yeah, that is what it is. At least I got to shoot most of the match, but I had never DQ'd a major match, and now I can say that I have. So
you still probably got 900 rounds downrange through that match still.
Oh yeah, I still had a good time. I mean, it was the bummer of the deal. The really like what was the biggest bummer of the whole thing was when you go to the award ceremony, and at Pete's match, he makes a show of it. So it's entertaining, but everybody's there, everybody's hanging out, and everybody's excited after the match. Like, oh man, hey, yeah, I did this and I did that. Well, how did you do? I didn't want to tell them, because they were like, they were feeding off the energy of after the match, of having a good time. I didn't want to tell them that I DQ'd, It's like, because then they're like, oh, instant buzzkill. Oh, I'm so sorry. And then I was like, no, it's fine. Why are you sorry? I mean, I did it. It was my fault, but so that was the biggest bummer out of the whole deal. It was just like, didn't want to be the buzzkill at the party, but
so you can't tell a DQ story on the 3-gun show without saying what you learned and what you're going to do different next time. So what did you learn and what are you going to do different next time?
I'm not going to let go of the gun until half of the weight of that gun is below the rim of the dump receptacle. Because basically, I mean, I shoot the SBR, and so everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, why you don't shoot SBRs?" But I mean, most two-thirds of the weight of the SBR behind the barrel nut.
Yeah.
So like, just got to have more of that thing in the rim before you let go.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. Hopefully your next match goes better. I actually chose to DQ my very first major match. So I got it out of the way right away.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah, it sucked, but we're better for it.
Yeah, there's no spin in that we would always rather it turn out differently, but
yeah,
it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. So
Nobody
we do have a couple more awesome. I don't even know if I'm calling these questions anymore. Comments from the Peanut Gallery, guys. I love you for hanging in there and telling me funny things to queue up to these guys. So Jay Christensen says, Scat, you should paint your pistol back wall yellow. That's pretty good. That's good.
I would puke every time I make ready. I couldn't do it.
I know you'd be shooting angry for sure.
Oh, I blind myself every time I draw.
That's hilarious. All right, and Mike Bauer says Scott Greene is so hot. He didn't even put the right on or the right now on the end of it, so it's just kind of weird now.
Yeah, way to make it awkward, Mike.
Yeah. Thanks for commenting, Mike, but that was really weird.
Threw off his groove.
Love you, Mike.
But we're happy to have you, so thanks for hanging in here with us. All right, guys, anything you want to add to breaking open part 2 here that we haven't talked about yet?
I don't think it's as expensive as people think it is.
Really?
You can make it as expensive as you want, but like I look around now at average cost of a shotgun laying on a preload table. It's not that far off. And like the gear that you need versus the gear that you have to have. I mean, the belt setups. I mean, you can probably spend 50% less on a belt setup for open.
Because you don't need
because you don't need all the tech locks. You don't need all the the ELS clips and you don't need to buy the caddies, the shotgun shell caddies.
The Invictus practical caddies I use are badass, but they're also like $70 a piece or something.
Yeah, so I mean, you're straight across for buying caddies versus buying Vepr mags. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I think I don't do the math because I don't like math, but like just the roughly in my head, knowing what some of the stuff costs, like I don't think it's that much different. That's why my girlfriend is looking to get into the sport, and she's going to shoot with me. Like, well, instead of going through the painful learning curve of teaching quad loading, and making her invest that time to have fun shooting limited or tac ops to learn how to quad load. It's like, well, I already have a Vepr, so why don't we just buy some more mags and shoot open instead? So
yeah. So 2 thoughts on that one. One, the tax man has forced me through the 3-gun show to do math on what this all costs, and it makes me sick. And then the thing is that the shotgun, as an example, the tax shotgun or the limited shotgun, it's deceiving in its value, right? So if you have like your Vepr, I don't even know what a Vepr costs. What is like MSRP of a Vepr? $5,000, $4,500?
A standard Vepr or the tricked out ones?
Tricked out one.
Oh, yeah, you can ballpark between 3 and 5, whatever you want in there.
Okay, so I could get a tricked out Vepr for $3,000.
Yep.
Wouldn't be painted back wall yellow.
Nope. You could if you wanted to,
but you could.
Okay.
Land has that color, so you could do that.
So $3,000 for that, right? Now, if you're like, well, okay, I'm not going to shoot open. I'm going to shoot tack because shotgun's only like $1,300, right? It's false economy. You go buy your Breda B12 IS for $1,300, and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to go send this to Hayes Custom Guns to have it modified, or Mark Roth, or fill in the blank here, and they do the nice port work. That's an additional cost. And you're like, now I got to get a tube for it. That's an additional cost. Oh man, Dissonant Arms and Briley just came out with this amazing handguard. I know that's going to make me faster. And now that's an additional cost for it, right? So
yeah. And,
wait, strong side charging handle.
Oh, strong side handle.
Sights.
Weak side.
Change the sights. Change the follower. Change
the sights. Yeah, and it's not like you can even put the sights on yourself because you got to get the rear sight dovetailed in. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think there is definitely a false economy on the shotgun, but I think that it's almost necessary because it helps us lie to ourselves about the cost of the gun.
Yeah,
It's like Glocks. Glocks are the exact same way. Now I think about it, like, oh yeah, I just start with a $550 Glock. Well, now you got a $250 trigger in there, and like $130 or $142 night sights, or not night sights, but target sights on there. Oh, you better get the grip stippled and the slides cut. And now you got to get the mag extensions and like
$100 Magwell. Yeah.
$90 Magwell. And if you add all that stuff up at the end of the day, probably should have just got that 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like, and just so there's no confusion, this isn't money you have to spend to play, but like if you look at money that a lot of folks spend, or people at the top level, I mean, if you look at what's in Greg Jordan's bag, or what's in Daniel Horner's bag, or if you look at the cost of what the guys at the top are shooting, the gear that they roll to the match with isn't. I don't think it's that much. It's I think it's going to be a little bit different because every gun's wearing an optic, which is awesome. But but I just, at the end of the day, I don't think it's as expensive. I don't think the gap is as far as people think it is.
Right.
So especially if you're
that happened a long time ago and people just haven't changed, because optics are relatively cheap now compared to what they were.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean the optic on my pistol is on the market for it sits on dealer shelves for $300, $325, something like that. Well, a really good set of match sights is 150. So that was one of the things we talked about on the LE side. Their police departments have to really beg their officers to buy night sights, right? Like their firearms instructors, but please buy night sights. Mil LE cost on a red dot is the same as night sights.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So they're the technology's gotten to the point where it's not as expensive as people think it is.
Yeah, that's a very good point. The other thing I was just thinking about as you were talking about that, AMAX, is that you don't have to necessarily spend that amount of money. That is true, and I'm all for like purchasing good gear, using it as long as possible, and then only replacing it when it fails you, or when you need to replace it, right? When it's like, that's holding me back. However, there is a thing called gear creep. It's like you pick up an extra Glock magazine here and an extra base pad there and stuff like that, and before you know it, you got like 10 magazines each with $40 base pads on them. So I've been doing this. What we decided, this was 2018, so I'm coming up on my 7th year now, and over the 7 years, I've definitely got like massive gear creep, where if I were to buy all the stuff I own for 3-gun new again, I could easily outfit 2 to 3 people with 3-gun gear. But that's, I hear the same thing from like RC car guys, and definitely when I was drag racing, it's the exact same thing. So I think it's just like a indicator of a hobby or a sport that you're passionate about.
Yeah, for sure. And that's of course assuming you have the foresight to buy the right thing the first time.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? My a friend of mine that I used to work with at Lockheed Martin, or whatever. I used to work at Lockheed Martin. So a friend of mine that I used to work with there, he told me one time, he's like, the weird thing about humans is they can't be told what pain is. You have to experience that pain yourself. And that, Dave, is why people get married. And I was like, okay, well, that's kind of weird. But, years later, like, it's totally the truth, because I've done a lot of intro to 3-gun classes, and they're like, okay, well, what kind of pistol do I need to get started? And I'll tell them, like, you can do it with any double stack 9mm. However, there is this thing called a 2011 or double stack 1911, whatever it is. And all they see is the upfront cost and not the quality, right? Because they have no frame of reference at that point. So yeah, AMAX, like having the foresight to know what gear to buy from the get-go, or trusting someone that is telling you, like, look, I've been doing this for 8 years, and this is absolutely the proper purchase to make at this time.
Yeah. I mean, look at Josh Raylick, right? Like all of his stuff runs now, right? He's got good, everything he uses is top shelf. I was there at the beginning. It wasn't always that way. You know, I mean, he struggled through open Glocks, and his first, was it a Vepper or a Sega? But yeah, his first rat rod shotgun was
still a Vepper.
A sight to behold. So like, I mean, he learned it the hard way too, but like, you know, to have the foresight to buy the right thing, I mean, that's usually the expensive part, not what division you're in. So as long as you're buying good stuff, you're going to be all right. But it's always convincing people to spare themselves. You know, they had to learn what pain was, right? Josh had to learn that no, you really don't really want a Glock. You want a 2011. But he figured it out.
Yeah.
Look at him now.
Money does make you happy. That's what we learned here tonight, fellas. Money makes you happy.
Or at least cold rolled steel does.
All right, guys. We're coming up on time here. I got to go let the dog out so he can run around, be a dog, and pee on things. So doing dog stuff. Yeah. So final thought here, guys. Max, since you won the XS Sights F8 price competition at the beginning of the show. By the way, again, not sponsored. They just I got these
cool dudes.
I got these from my finish, I think at Texas 3-Gun Championship, and here they are. I'm so pumped about them. But anyway, Adam, final thought, buddy.
Slide, ride, or die.
Oh god.
No frame mounts allowed. Just do it. I got stickers. Come up and find me. I'll give you one.
Yeah, I got one right there on my file cabinet. Scotty, what's your final thought there, buddy?
Quad loading sucks. Don't do it anymore. Join open.
A magazine is a way more efficient way of getting rounds in your shotgun for sure.
Yes. No mag don't care.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, this has been a ton of fun. I'm really happy to see that you guys are enjoying open. The worst case scenario is when you switch divisions, buy all the gear, and you think like, oh, this sucks. I just want to go back. So pumped that you guys are having successes, and can't wait to see what goes on in 2019 here, and with all the sharks coming to open. So pool's getting bigger. The competition's getting stiffer, and it's gonna be fun to see what happens in the years to come. So,
Blood's in the water.
Yeah. So thanks for being here on the 3-Gun Show. All you folks that are hanging out in the chat and listening, watching along with us right now, thank you for being here. And if you're listening to this at home, you can check it out on YouTube if you want to see what Scott's yellow wall looks like.
Oh God.
Oh God. Thank you, everybody.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. You should go watch the video just to see it.
You want a close up? I'll give you a close up. Look at this. Oh.